Before we start, if you guys don't mind, I'll be using some Blue Lock Rivals gameplay in the background, since most of you know Crawlo from his previous project anyway, and it fits the context perfectly. Alright guys, today we finally have something I've been waiting to say for a long time. Soccer Zero is officially coming, and it's not sometime in the future, it's not soon, maybe. It's actually releasing in a month, and maybe even less. The countdown has basically started, and now that the game is this close, we're finally getting real content. Official sneak peeks, dev posts, proper leaks, a full cutscene, and even our very first style with a real awakening animation. So in this video, I want to go over everything we know so far, why this release is actually a big deal, and why I think Soccer Zero might end up sitting next to games like Blue Lock Rivals, Azure Latch, and Goalbound in terms of impact. Let's start with the most important thing we've seen so far, the Isagi Yoichi Awakening. Because let's be honest, that's what everyone is talking about right now. And I'll say it straight up, without glazing, without overhyping, that animation looks really good. I'm not saying it's the best thing in history, but it's definitely at the level where you can put it next to Azure Latch and Goalbound and not feel embarrassed. The camera work is clean, the timing feels satisfying, the effects are sharp, and the way the animation sells Isagi's awakening moment actually feels like something you'd expect from a high-quality anime game, not just a rushed Roblox project. And yeah, I know there's always that one person in the comments trying to start a war like Azure Latch better, Goalbound better, Rivals better, but I think in this case we can all agree on one simple thing. All three of those games have strong animation teams, and now Soccer Zero is joining that group. If this is the first awakening they're willing to show publicly, imagine what's still hidden. They're not going to reveal the craziest stuff this early, so if the starting point is already this polished, the final product has a lot of potential. I'm also pretty sure most of you already watched Crawlo's official announcement video about Soccer Zero. If you haven't, you absolutely should, because this time he didn't just say, the game will be good, trust me. Yes, he actually explained what happened behind the scenes. And that's really important for understanding why the release took this long. Originally, Soccer Zero was supposed to come out way earlier. The plan was to drop it, ride the hype, and expand from there. But at some point in development, Crawlo and his team looked at what they had and basically said, yeah, this isn't good enough. And instead of doing what most people would do and just releasing a mid-game anyway, they decided to start over. Like, fully restart. They scrapped a huge amount of work, rewrote systems, rebuilt animations, redesigned core mechanics, and began making a second version of Soccer Zero from the ground up. That alone tells you a lot. It's way easier to just say, whatever, it's fine, and push a half-polished game out. But they chose the hard path. That's the same energy we saw around Basketball Zero, when there were talks about the Game Awards, about giving partial control to another dev team, about letting his friend help manage some of the pressure so he wouldn't burn out completely. You can tell he actually cares about the final quality, even if that means delaying things and redoing them. And now we're finally seeing the result of that second attempt. The new cutscene they showed, the Isagi Awakening, the way the UI and camera look in sneak peeks. It all feels like something built with intention, not just speed. You can see they've learned from previous projects. There's experience there. It's not some first game energy anymore. Now let's talk about the concept of Soccer Zero itself, because this is where the game gets interesting. From what we know, it's going to follow a similar style structure to Basketball Zero, but obviously adjusted to soccer. That means styles from different universes, different series, maybe even different franchises entirely. But the starting roster, the opening wave, is clearly focused on Blue Lock characters. And honestly, that's the smartest way they could have done it. Blue Lock fans are extremely active, they love competitive PvP games, and they've already proven they're willing to grind and spend time mastering styles. Right now, from everything we've seen and everything that's been teased, we already know the first three main styles that will be in Soccer Zero at launch. The first, obviously, is Isagi Yoichi, and based on the Awakening, it looks like it'll be his NEL version or something. Very close to that thematically. The second is Shidu, and this was basically confirmed way back when his pose and silhouette appeared in the early trailers. The third is Kaiser, who also showed up in the teaser with a pretty recognizable stance. Just from these three alone, you can already tell the game is trying to nail a specific vibe. High intensity, ego-driven, flashy strikers. But it doesn't stop there. Like with Basketball Zero, there's a very high chance they will bring in real soccer players later on. People like Ronaldo, Neymar, maybe Mbappe, maybe Messi. It fits perfectly with the way Crollo likes to mix anime-style characters with more realistic or iconic figures. It gives the game a lot of creative range. You can have an awakening for Isagi in one match, and in another game you might be using a completely different style based on an actual soccer legend. That alone helps the game avoid becoming repetitive too fast. Now, one of the most important things to talk about is progression. Soccer games on Roblox usually fall into two traps. Either they are super casual and you get bored after a few days, or they rely only on ranked matches with no real sense of long-term growth. Soccer Zero is clearly trying to avoid both of those problems. From what we know so far, the game will have an actual progress system with elements borrowed from a bunch of popular game modes. Think of it as a hybrid. Part arena PvP, part progression RPG, part battlegrounds, part collector game. Crollo mentioned things like evolution chains and task-based unlocks, which immediately reminds me of the systems in Azure Latch and the new evolution system in Blue Lock Rivals. You don't just pull a character and that's it. You build them. You start with a base version and then complete missions, challenges, and objectives to push them toward their awakened or NEL form. That makes every match feel like progress towards something bigger, rather than just another random win or loss. The cool part is that Soccer Zero is not just copying those systems, it's trying to refine them. According to what he said, they already implemented one version internally, weren't satisfied, and then reworked the whole thing. So the evolution mechanics we'll see at launch are basically the second draft, which is usually much better thought out. That's also why I'm not too worried when I hear that some features took longer. Because usually when devs are willing to scrap systems and start over, it means they're aiming for something they actually like using themselves. Another thing that keeps me optimistic is how focused the early marketing is. Instead of flooding us with 20 mid-tier teasers, they gave us one strong awakening, a clean cutscene, and clear confirmation of the first wave of styles. There's a kind of confidence in that. They're not throwing everything at the wall hoping something sticks. They're showing specific things they know will hit. And remember, this isn't just a one-man show anymore. Crollo mentioned he has a full team working on this, people who already scrapped and remade systems because they weren't happy with the first version. He has experience from Basketball Zero, experience from the Game Awards era. All of that experience is being poured into Soccer Zero. So to sum it up simply, Soccer Zero was originally meant to release earlier, but the team wasn't happy with the first version and restarted development, which is why the game we're getting in less than a month is the improved second attempt. We already have a top-tier Isagi Awakening, Shido and Kaiser confirmed, cross-universe styles on the way, and a full evolution system that looks even cleaner than Azure Latch or Blue Lock Rivals. For me, that's more than enough to stay excited. And with the release so close, you won't have to wait long to judge it yourself. Thanks for watching, and I'll update you as soon as new sneak peeks drop.